Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Economic Development Committee. We're at 11:35 here on Wednesday, the 3rd of August already, if you can believe that. Don't blink, it'll be Christmas. We have a relatively thin audience in the chamber office this afternoon. However, we've got a handful of folks online as well. And so, as is our custom at the top of the meeting, we'll go ahead and take a couple minutes and work our way around both spaces, physically and virtually, to make introductions. And I just want to say in advance, thank you for being here today and participating in the presentation. So after we take care of a couple of items here up front, we'll turn it over to David Kamens, our presenter for the day, and looking forward to that. So why don't we go ahead and start with the folks that are represented on our Zoom platform online here, and just kind of working my way down the list here. Looks like, John, we've got you jumped in there. Are you able to hear us okay?
I can hear you just fine. You guys are loud and clear. I'm John Beckman. I'm the CEO of the Building Industry Association, and welcome to, we're looking forward to hearing the presentation.
Yeah, thanks so much, John. Appreciate it. And Dana?
Good afternoon, Dana Ferrer, Regulatory Analyst for Modesto Irrigation District.
Glad you could join us today. Thank you for that. And looks like we've also got Bob on as well.
Good morning, Bob Kimball, City of Modesto, Economic Development. Glad to be here.
Fantastic. Thanks for joining us, sir. Appreciate that. And Peggy as well, right?
Peggy O'Donnell. I'm on the Modesto Chamber Board. Glad to be here.
Thanks for joining. Appreciate that. And then do we have any others?
Nope, that's
online?
all
I think
for online.
that's our online presence right now. Obviously, if we've got folks jumping in later, we'll try to acknowledge them as we roll through that. And so let me go ahead and start off to my left at the far side of the room here. We'll work our way around. So if you go ahead and state your name and the organization with which you're.
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Monica Flynn, Opportunity Stanislaus, and I'm the Business Development Specialist.
Nice. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amin Govind, and I am with Opportunity Stanislaus as well, and I'm the Marketing and Communications Coordinator.
Nice, good.
New title, get
New
used to
title.
it. I'm Sabrina Gonzalez-Fuel. I am Membership Coordinator here at the Chamber.
Fantastic. And thanks for jumping in and joining us today to help facilitate the meeting. Of course, I am Bill Robinson, the chair of the Economic Development Committee on the board with the Chamber, and running my practice in financial planning here in Modesto as well. So our presenter today.
I'm David Kamens with Mid Valley IT.
Fantastic.
Nice.
And senior account executive, right?
Senior account executive.
Fantastic.
Going to the Spirit.
Right, there you go. Yep. So with that, before we get into David's presentation today, I believe we sent out through email and maybe through the meeting request the minutes that we had from our July 6th meeting. The presentation, of course, from the PACT with Lourdes, and many of you I know were present for that. So if you've had an opportunity to review those minutes or were present at the previous meeting, what we kind of need to do to formalize that is to accept a motion to approve the minutes and a second after that. So if you have anybody that can help in that way, love to hear it.
I'll move to approve, Dana.
Okay, thank you, Dana. Appreciate that.
I'll second.
Do we have a second? I'm sorry. Okay, great. Thanks, Monica. Appreciate that. And I do very quickly want to add one additional introduction. We have gone around the room, and so thank you for joining us. I'm going to go ahead and tell us what you're up to these days. So that'd be great.
So I'm a has-been.
Hardly.
No, I'm Cecil Russell, and these days I'm the executive director, general manager of the graffiti museum that we're putting together.
Fantastic. Good. Glad you're here. Thanks for joining us. So thank you for that. I also want to thank the chamber here for putting out the snacks and things for our meeting. Thank you for that. And with that, what I would do is turn it over to David for our presentation. We can head into that. I know that there's a number of prepared pieces in there, but we also want to have some time for some Q&A toward the end and that. But without further ado, I will turn it over to you, sir. And, all right, looking forward.
Thank you. Where is the best place for me to stand?
Usually right here in this corner, but I'll let you grab this from me first, if you don't mind doing a little circle around the room.
The
Pageant
circle
walk.
around,
Right.
Perfect.
the control, power, the infinity.
And then I'll turn this way.
Nice.
All right. Does everyone see and hear me okay? You guys can see me?
Yep, you look good.
My name is David Kamens with Mid Valley IT. I was interested in doing a presentation for the committee here. I was asked to bring it to you guys today to fill in a gap. So bear with me. This is my first time putting on this particular presentation. I'm calling it the confidence and security, how to protect your data, hardware, and workflows. And there's good reason for me having this presentation today. I've done a lot of thinking about this and what I wanted to present and educate the community on. But I've spent the better part of this year reevaluating all of our security postures for all of our clients. There has been a huge shift, especially ever since COVID, of the amount and the severity and the sophistication of the cyber attacks that are out there. It has become a predominant industry for sanctioned groups by Russia, China. Okay, they have been practicing on us and facilitating many forms of cyber attacks over the last few years that have become increasingly costly. Okay, there's a lot of factors to the costs for these cyber attacks, what it costs you to prevent it, what it costs you to remediate it, what it costs you to deal with it on a regular basis. So as a managed service provider, what we are, and I'll get into that, but I wanted to bring to focus today, I wanted to educate our people what exactly a cyber crime is, how it really affects you. A lot of times we think about it in certain ways, we know about it, but I want to give you guys some real information that you can actually use for your own personal and organization. So real quick, I'd like to go through a couple things, but first, I have control.
Yeah.
First, I want to at least make it fun. God forbid we have fun while we're at work.
Woo-hoo.
So I'm going to, throughout this presentation, I will have 3 security-based questions. There will be multiple choice questions. Okay, for every right answer, you get a raffle ticket. Okay, and so you online can play as well. What I'll do is I'll give our esteemed leader and person who already looked at the PowerPoint, so he's ineligible, to hang on to the tickets. I believe there's 3 people online. And then as we ask the questions, you can, at the end of the meeting, I'll collect your answers with the tickets. And at that time, you can tell people on virtual, can tell Mr. Bill how many they got right, and he'll put your tickets in for you. Okay?
Okay, fair
So
enough.
you can still draw. And the prize is a Starbucks gift card, $20 in value. Hopefully you guys went there before coming here.
There's only one.
It's only one, that's right. So you need to pay attention. Okay, so I want to have some fun. I want to break it up. I'm going to go into some stuff, and some of it's a downer, right? Because if you think about anything happening economically right now, it's probably all sadness. But doesn't mean we can't have fun when we're talking about sadness, right? Jokes at a few. Anyway, so we will have some fun throughout the slides. Be ready throughout the presentation. First, I want to talk about us just a little bit. Mid Valley IT. Why should you listen to me at all? Do I have any? Where do I come from? Where do our business come from? What does it matter to have anything to say? Mid Valley IT was established in 2007. A couple of partners that have been in the business for a very long time finally merged together and created Mid Valley IT. So we've been around there a while. I was, I believe, employee number 7, maybe 8, around 6 years ago. I jumped in. We're at 25 employees now. We'd like to be more. Probably a lot of you or people that you know would like to have more employees. They're hard to find right now, but we are very heavy on the engineering side. There's only 5 administrators for the 25 employees that we have. That
Wow.
includes me, that includes the gals that answer the phone are also running payroll, and they're doing the quoting, and so there's 5 of us in total, 20 engineers. We have over 80 clients. A lot of our clients are represented in some form or fashion by the Department of Justice. So there's a lot of government agencies, school districts, and we have police departments, fire departments, ambulances. So first responders, of course, a lot of manufacturing and ag down in the Central Valley is huge. School districts, transportation, logistics, nonprofit organizations, professional businesses. So the entire spectrum really we handle, and we're seeing a lot of common things throughout these environments. We are forced as a company to provide a certain level of security for our clients. And I'll go into that a little bit more, but we are very tight with the Department of Justice. They're not a lot of fun, but at least we're doing what needs to be done to protect our clients. You may have seen one of our booths at a golf tournament. We were pretty heavy in the golf tournaments for the last few years until COVID killed that for a while and came back. But we would put up a big booth, we'd get everyone full of food and drink and fun. And we always have the best booths on the course, but you've seen us there. And some pictures of who we are, because we're actually people, not just computers, doing computers. But this is Tom and Cullen at the bottom left there, accepting an award from the Merced Chamber, and Joy, one of our account executives, for the golf tournament. So anyway, this is our team. We have a lot to do in the organization. We're security minded as a primary part of our business. We're heavily security minded because of all the clients that we have like that. So we went through this year with all 80 of our clients redoing their security package. So making sure their security is up and running. A lot of this is being driven by insurance companies. So your cyber insurance policy, if you've ever had one, has changed. The requirements for it are greater. The cost of cyber insurance is higher. And in fact, as an MSP, a managed service provider for ourselves, our insurance costs have skyrocketed because at our level, with all the clients that we have, we're not wanting to be funded very well as far as insurance goes, because the liability is huge. So we have a massive amount of protections in place in order to get insurance at all, let alone at this kind of rate. So a little bit about us. Insurance drives things, but it's really the criminals out there that are looking to do harmful acts that are pushing it. So that's a little bit about us. And so what I want to break it down into for you, so it's easy, is called the 3 pillars of security: data security, equipment security, and workforce security. Most of the time when we think about cyber crimes or cyber security, if you look at it online or research it online, you're mostly going to hear about data. It's really all about data, protecting your data, locking down your data, backing up your data, restoring your data. It's all about data. There's a bazillion options out there for you to protect your data. Some are good, some are not. Some are cloud and some are on-prem based, but there's a lot of ways to protect your data. But your equipment is very important as well. And that equipment is under attack. And your equipment is seeing the side effects of these cyber attacks as well. And your workforce, my gosh, your people, your most precious asset. Maybe some organizations out there, their data is the most important thing that they have. But most likely it's the people are close second, if not more important. But your people, your workforce, especially now in a very vast remote workforce day and age, your people need to be protected. And they're also a liability for you now as well. Any organization that has remote workers now increase their liability and their attack surface. So we want to really talk about the 3 pillars of security. One thing I want to let you guys know, and a lot of times what we hear on the news is Twitter or Exxon got hacked. Some of these massive organizations are being hacked, right? We think, well, we're too small. We don't have anything valuable, right? As a small business. What do we have that anybody wants to steal? We're not the money makers, but I want to tell you, that's not true. More than half, in fact, 50 to 75% of all cyber attacks are committed against small to mid-sized businesses, SMBs. Almost all of them. 60% of these businesses that suffer an attack, they're closed. They close down the shops. It's so expensive for them to remediate, or they don't have what they need to get back up and running, that they go out of business within 6 months after an attack. Wow. It's scary. It's scary. What if you lost all of your data right now? What if it cost you $100,000 to get your data back right now? Do you have that money to just flip it over and then keep going? Because sometimes it's not worth it, but it's actually more than that. We'll get into that. But as a small to medium-sized business, you're the attack predominant. You are the meat. Okay. Now, and you know why that is? Why that is? Because the attackers are smart. They know it's the small to medium-sized businesses that have the weakest protection. Twitter has a lot more protection. They're going to be a lot harder to hack than the graffiti you see. Not smart.
Maybe after this.
But they understand that. They understand that you're weak in comparison. And so I'm here to be strong. Okay, help you out with that. So small to medium-sized businesses, any business less than 500 employees, you're getting hit regularly.
Can I stop you for a minute?
Sure, go.
So, when you say we get hacked.
Sure.
So take my organization. We have a computer. All of our data is there. All our background. And so if someone hacked that, what's gonna happen?
So I'm going to get into that. I'm glad you asked. I have a few more slides for you. I'm going to talk about that. There's a few things that happen there. Sometimes they're after you. Sometimes they're after someone else, and they're using you to get.
But generally speaking, most people would have security on the computer, actively or whatever. And so when you get into this, hopefully,
Sure.
the difference between having that or even the value of that versus what you're.
Absolutely, and that's actually a great segue, because one of the things I was going to mention is that there is no single answer for your organization's security. It's a layered security approach. And we can very easily use the analogy of your home. Okay, the standard home's basic security feature is the lock on your handle of the front door. How many here are comfortable with just leaving your house with the lock on the front handle? That's it. Okay, some people in certain areas. Okay, but most people have also a deadbolt. So there's another layer of security on your door. And then in addition to that, we have an alarm system. In addition to that, we have cameras. In addition to that, we have a Ring camera. In addition to that, we have a monitoring service, some of us. Okay, so the layers and layers of protection that are at your home are the same that work for your business. You need to have multiple layers. There's multiple attack points. You need to have locks on your windows, doors. You need to have a lot of different forms of security in order to make sure that you are secure. Just having one form of security leaves you open for another type of attack. Oh, perfect timing. I can turn the page of the book. Remember those books?
Yeah.
Turn the page. Okay. So I'll start with the first pillar, the data security, one that most organizations talk about and most people think about. But I want to let you know, it's an interesting statistic. The average cost for a data breach in 2022, which hasn't ended yet, is $164 per record. What this means is that if you are hacked or potentially hacked, you are in charge by the state of California to inform every single piece of information and who that belongs to that you may have suffered a breach. Every client, every vendor, every employee, if you have lots of employees everywhere, every single record that you have has to be notified. Not only that, but you have to let them know in email, you have to make phone calls, sometimes you have to send letters, depending on the type of information that's been stolen, you have to remediate that as well. Just the cost of you having an attack or a potential attack is $164 per record. You have thousands of records. Most people have thousands of records pretty easy. I know I do, right? That's a lot per record. That doesn't include after the fact figuring out what happened, preventing it from happening again. Okay, and putting other security in place. This is just every record that you have is worth $164. Whether it's, you know, it's stolen or not. If someone has access to your server and they own a laptop, and if they can just open that laptop and connect to the server pretty easily, and if they lose that laptop, every record is now considered breached. That laptop was stolen, they have access to your server. Because you don't know if they were able to get into your server or not, that's a breach, just by itself. But we know that people are getting attacked in all sorts of ways, okay? They're getting attacked through phishing attacks, through your email, directly being hammered through your website. There's attacks coming in through your social media accounts, through links. There's a lot of ways that they do that. So data security is the one that we think about the most. This is your precious data, all the stuff that lives on your hard drive. And so it's your client data, it's your proprietary data, anything like that. And so all the data that is transmitted over the various ways through your organization is subject to being stolen. And now we have a lot of ways that that information is moved. It's not just going from the server to the computer in the office, where you have Wi-Fi, right? And anything connected to your Wi-Fi is a potential breach as well. There's an example of a restaurant. I believe they were in San Francisco, but they got hacked and had a ransomware attack placed on them for their customers' data. And they were hacked through a Wi-Fi thermostat in a fish tank. So someone installed a thermostat for the fish tank, hooked it up to their Wi-Fi. Now, you can have Wi-Fi, a guest network, you can segregate your Wi-Fi from your network. Likely that wasn't the case. They probably just had, very simple Wi-Fi. But because they put a device in there that someone could find and easily break into, they were compromised through their network. Every single piece of device, every form or software that you use that moves your data around can be potential liability. So we have to have ways to remediate that. So the standard forms of protecting your data, all the wonderful information that lives on your hard drives, is the standard one is data backup and restore. There's lots and lots and lots of ways to do that on-prem versus cloud. Some of it's versionary. There's a lot of things that we can talk about there. So likely you'll have questions. I'll open myself up to questions today, and then I can do follow-up meetings with you as well to discuss some of these things in detail if you feel like you need to have more information. But there's a lot of ways data backup and restore. We prefer to do a backup situation that has a co-facility on the east and the west coast, and your information is pretty much on time, so in real time, being backed up at 2 physical locations. It would take a national disaster for you to lose your data. So, but there's things to talk about like that, and restore, just backing up your data. So let's say your data gets stolen, ransomware, or deleted, okay? And you want to get back up and running. If it's a lot of data and it's a slow restore process, it can take you days just to get the information from the cloud to your computers, depending on the style of restoration you have. So there's layers of that. Secure folder and drive permissions. You would think this would be obvious, but if you have a network and you have multiple people on your network and they're sharing files, now everybody needs access to everything. That's a surefire way. People move folders on accident. They delete stuff on accident. They steal it on purpose. There's a lot of liability there. You really need to make sure that you have the right permissions and secure folders and drive permissions are there. Multi-factor authentication. Does anybody know what that means here? Multi-factor authentication. What is multi-factor authentication? This is not for a raffle.
She's like, I'm not gonna answer.
Like the Duo app, for example.
Right. So those annoying things that have to send you a text message to your phone in order to continue to log in. That's a multi-factor or a 2-factor authentication. It's widespread. It's very important right now. Almost everybody has to have it. It's offered free for O365 clients. So if you need some help transitioning to O365, you need to understand how to set up that, I can help you with that. That would be a separate meeting, but having two-factor authentication is in some ways out of your hands. Most places are gonna do it for you anyway, but you need to have it for your network as well. And anybody that's logging in from outside of your building absolutely needs to have two-factor authentication to get into it. Okay, so two-factor authentication, there's a lot, multi-factor authentication, there's a lot of ways to do that. Some people are like, oh, I can't have that stuff on my phone, that you can get fobs. There's other ways to go about it. You've got to have multi-factor authentication. And of course, one thing that Cecil was talking about was antivirus and malware. So I'll go into this a little bit more because there's another layer of protection that adds to that. But antivirus, anti-malware, what it does is it scans for known vulnerabilities, known viruses, Trojans, worms, things like that. If it's unknown, it's not going to help you any. And it takes at least a day for something to become known. So there's a lot of things that we call zero-day attacks. It's the first time those attacks happen. It does an immense amount of damage until it's the information about it is spread throughout all the antivirus and the cybersecurity people, and then they can put it into the database so that organizations now have protection for it. But that takes some time, at least 24 hours, sometimes longer. So your antivirus and your anti-malware is great, but it's protecting against known instances. Okay. A lot of juicy information there. Come to our first security question. Security-minded question. What was Paul Blart's preferred method of transportation in the movie Small Cop and Long Haul? Don't say it out loud.
Does he get disqualified for
Hang on a
that?
minute.
You don't have to write it down. You don't have to. So you know, and there's no two on it.
I just want to cut
So
down the
you know.
competition.
It's A through D. But if you haven't seen the movies, you may not know, so it'll be a guess. So write down your answer and I'll come around with a fishbowl later. And if you got it right, you should take it. Okay. Preferred method of transportation. I just saw a Mall Cop 2 with my kids. It was pretty funny. My favorite part, there was a scene where a guy pulls a banana out of his lunch. And have you guys seen Mall Cop 2? And it's really super brown. And he's like peeling it. And he's eating it slowly, and like zooming in on his face and Paul. Like, I would eat that. That is the brownest banana. It really made me laugh. I thought it was the funniest part of the movie. I don't know what about it. But I was like, oh, don't eat that. Okay. See the movie, but write down your answers and see if you got it right. Okay, let's talk about equipment security. Equipment, okay? Statistic. Computer and server hardware costs are rising for 20%. There was a time, if you remember, it seemed like computers were getting cheap. Phones are getting cheap, laptops are cheap, Chromebooks are cheap, tablets are cheap. Everything is so much less than it was. Well, those days are over. As we know right now, with the supply chain issues, with labor issues, with the international issues, wars, the cost for equipment, precious metals, chips skyrocketing right now. It's actually gone 20% up since last year, and it's expected to go up 20% every single year from here on out. So your equipment is pricey. It's a value asset to you. You need it to do your job. There's probably not too many people here who would be able to get a full day's work done without a computer. Okay, so it's a necessity. It is not just a cost of doing business, it is a profit center for you. And that profit center is getting expensive. And the best way to maintain and to keep your equipment lasting longer is to protect it, right? Now already as a MSP, we do capital replacement plans for all of our clients. And we tell them how old your equipment is, what it needs to be replaced, and how we can roll it down. But we were recommending every 5 years that you replace a computer. 5 to 7 years for a server, but after 5 years, you're not going to get warranty on it. That can be scary if the part goes down, right? Because then you need to have those parts come quickly, and only having the warranty will let you do those parts rapidly. So we try to get those things switched out every 5 years, but they can last to 7. But the problem is that you have equipment that is under attack. And so when that equipment is under attack, it reduces its value and its life. Let me tell you how. So one of the ways that we talked about is that attack that you get. Someone comes into your system and they steal or lock down your data. But sometimes they're not there for you. They want to use your network to attack others. Okay, so this is an example. We have a client that purchased a large piece of machinery from a manufacturer. And it was a process, and he got the machinery, and he emailed the guy that is account representative that he was purchasing it from. After he got the equipment, and he asked for the manual back, for the manual in a PDF format. The guy sent them the manual, and inside it was a Trojan. It unleashed, locked down his data on his computer. Luckily, we had remediation, it wasn't a big deal. But check this out. That email didn't come from that representative. That email actually came from a cyber attacker that was lodged inside the network environment of the manufacturer, got his email, found the appropriate PDF, embedded a Trojan inside of it, and then sent it off.
Wow.
So that manufacturing company has had a cyber attacker living in his system for some time. They say the average is 2 weeks. They'll live in your system for approximately 2 weeks before actually performing an attack. That's how they learn what's valuable, what you do, who you're sending emails to. Is there someone more valuable out there? The whole time they're in there, they're using your resources, they're installing other applications, they're hiding things from you, they're upping the usage of your CPUs, your hard drives, they're running at odd hours, they're keeping servers from installing certain security patches, okay? And then they're they're logging in remotely to your equipment, they're using your equipment, your desktops, things like that. They're hammering your firewalls with attacks, trying to break them, almost physically, but break them by sending repeated attacks to your firewalls and your switches in order to break things so that they have access to ports that were now, okay? So I'm speaking some things that are a little bit beyond even my understanding, because I'm not an engineer, but your equipment is at risk, and it's not cheap. It's not cheap. And moving to the cloud is not getting less expensive. Microsoft right now is forcing almost everyone who has an on-prem exchange. If you know what that means, your email is on a server in your office. Been the standard for anybody with more than maybe 25 to 30 employees. You'll have typically an exchange server on site that manages your email. Those servers are typically between $15,000 and $40,000, depending on the size that you need and how many user counts. A lot of it's Microsoft operating system, Microsoft user credentials in order for you to have a credential for every user that's going to be using the server. Microsoft is now forcing everyone into their virtual cloud instead of an on-prem server. That's not going to save you money. It's going to cost you money. It's going to turn it from a capital expense every 5 to 7 years to a monthly cost of business. And it's going up. So now we don't have the cloud to just say, you know what? I don't really need much of a computer. I can use the cloud. The cloud's not going to be a whole lot cheaper. If you want to protect your equipment, you really do. It's something that we don't think about or talk about, but the attackers, they're abusing your equipment and they're ruining the life of it. So what do we do about our equipment? There's a few things we can do. Once again, the layers. One of the big daddies right now coming out in the cybersecurity industry is Endpoint Detection and Response, or EDR. This is an artificial intelligence layer added to your antivirus software. In essence, it's not really added to the software, it's separate from it, but it's a layer to it. What this does is it detects something coming in and doing a change in your environment. Not just looking and seeing if the code matches any notorious code that's known, like an antivirus does, but it actually has artificial intelligence in there. And in the beginning, it takes a little bit of time, but the artificial intelligence gets to know how you operate, what hours you operate, what files this particular person accesses, where the information is coming and going from and to, and how often and in what format. So if all of a sudden a bunch of stuff starts getting deleted whoop, red flags go up, it puts a lockdown on that system and it stops the threat. If there's all of a sudden you're getting a lot of data and CPU spikes at the 2 a.m. and you've never done that before, it's going to lock it down until your IT company gets involved to see if it's a legitimate threat or not. So if anything breaks through this antivirus, this artificial intelligence will see it, separate it from the network, and stop any additional damage from being done until your IT company is involved. This is the new standard. We've employed this on all of our clients now. All clients get it with all of our contracts. The DOJ is recommending it hand over fist, and cyber insurance policies are practically required at this point. Okay, EDR. Firewalls with upgraded security. Please have a firewall. If you don't have a firewall, don't know what a firewall is, call me, we'll talk about that. But it's a physical piece of equipment that protects you from the outside. Any information coming in or out of your building is a threat from anything going around outside the building. Firewalls will protect you, and the firewalls come with standard protection. But most firewalls, we use WatchGuard right now. They're a great partner for us. There's some very innovative and new security features. But you can get upgraded security on your firewalls as well. Another layer of protection, right? So now you're getting into the endpoint detection and response is like your deadbolt, I guess you could say. The antivirus is like the lock on your handle. You got your firewalls. That's your security system. Okay. Firewalls is in essence the security system that's on every single window, every single door, if anything gets opened. Okay. Power backup systems. So if your computers are shut down improperly, so attackers can do this as well, right? Once they're in your system, they can force shut down, they can start services and force shut down your equipment. And if anything gets shut down wrong, it can corrupt the operating system, it can be damaged physically, you can do things like that. But if a power goes out or if there's some other kind of effect that is keeping your systems from staying up, a power backup system, mostly for power outages, things like that, will give you an extra amount of time, depending on how big of a battery you buy, to shut your system down. Usually 15 to 30 minutes is all you need. Be 5 minutes if you're there, right? But that gives you enough time to shut down your equipment properly so that you don't damage it if the power goes out or if there's some illicit activity on that. And then equipment monitoring software. So of course we deploy this. It's pretty standard in the industry. If your IT company isn't doing it, then you should ask them why. If you don't know, then you should call me. But they should be monitoring your equipment. You know, send us granted, we get a lot of alerts. These alerts come crazy, so we have to siphon them based on importance. But CPU, hard drives, temperatures, speed of disks, most hard drives are going, if you care or no, but hard drives typically have a spinning wheel inside them, a little record player in there. Most of them are going what's called solid state, so they're just chip based, but some of them still have moving parts in there. So we want to see what the speeds are on those moving parts. You know, some servers will have those still. So it monitors in real time. It gives your IT company alerts if there's anything weird going on. Okay. Protect your equipment. It's only getting more and more expensive. The average cost of I would say a laptop right now with Office or being ready to use is probably about $1,800. You can buy one for $9, but if you want it to last 5 years, you're probably gonna have to spend closer to $1,800, $1,600 to $1,800, and that's gonna go up 20% next year. Desktops you can get for less than $1,000 still, but once again, it's still gonna go up. Sad things. Happy face. Got a question, a raffle question. Okay, another security-based question. I thought they have nothing to do with cybersecurity. Which U.S. president created the Secret Service? Secret Service, and I'll put a bonus in there. And I'll actually give you an extra ticket. What was the purpose for creating the Secret Service? Bonus in there. Which U.S. president? Roosevelt, Lincoln, Grant, or Cleveland? It's a guessing game now. Cecil might remember.
Yeah, I was there.
Thanks for the hint.
All right. You guys had enough chance to look that over, mark down your answers online as well. All right, last of the pillars is the workforce security. This is in essence my favorite pillar because it deals with people, and people are more fun than computers are. But they also create the biggest problem. Oh, do you want to take a break?
We do have a question in chat. I didn't know if we
Oh,
wanted to
sure.
address that right now, or do you want to do that?
If you'd like.
So,
Sure.
He's giving it away.
What I do?
Nothing. John said it was C. I don't know if
Oh,
that's true or not,
okay, we had a participant with the answer. That,
Oh,
I didn't know if there was another question. That's fine. Go ahead.
David, tell Bill
That's
or
what I
tell
said.
us at the end in chat, and I'll put them all in the, we'll put your tickets in the car.
There you go.
Okay, so your workforce security, the cost, now I'm gonna talk a lot about ransomware because ransom cyber attacks typically come from somebody doing something. Okay. The cost of ransomware has increased 71% from last year to an average of $925,000. $925,000. And what I mean by this is what the kidnappers are asking for you to pay in order for them to give your data back. Ransomware is just that. An attacker will infiltrate your network. It will lock down your data with a specific security key. It is uncrackable. Okay? It is uncrackable. You cannot just call a security expert and have them break the encryption and get your data back. Okay? So depending on, yeah, but I'm trying to ignore it.
I don't think it's gonna stop. It sounds like one of those alarms that's not gonna stop.
No, it's a phone call.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. However, I'm not turning the page, okay? The ransom is based typically on the size of your organization. Once again, they live in your environment for a couple of weeks. They'll research you. They'll know how much money you make every year. They'll know what your profits are. They'll know who works there. They'll know who does what. They'll know where your data is and what it has. And so if they think that they can get $1 million out of you to get all your data back, it might be worth it. No, you may not have that much data. Well, once again, I go back to that question. What if you had $100,000? Could you just pay a ransomware to get your data back and keep going with business? That can be very hard for you. That's why a lot of these businesses get shut down. Now, this is just what it costs to pay the ransom guy. That's not what it costs to fix your network. Protect it again, to replace anything that they broke. To the manpower for realizing you had an attack, figuring out the attack, going into crazy psycho mode, and then realizing that you had to do something and now you don't know what to do. And there's a cost. There's a cost and it's big. 925,000, 71%, they're getting really bold. But you want to protect yourselves from that. Your people, however, are typically the ones that cause this to happen. Sometimes it's ignorance, sometimes it's malicious activity. But usually it's an act by a person that allows this to happen, okay? Not always, but in many, many cases, and that's why we get to the workforce security. Imagine an employee who did that, who got fooled. What is their position going to be like? Right? What about the other people that work for you? How are they going to feel about the attack and how secure they feel working in the environment? So we want to protect our people. Okay, we want to keep them from doing harmful things, and we want to protect them so that they can continue to do their work without harm to themselves as well. So what are some of the securities that we can put in place for workforce, for your workforce? Secure virtual private network. So many of you have probably heard of this term over the last couple of years, VPN. The VPN term wasn't talked about a lot until recently. It was a geeky, nerdy term. You know, VPN, everybody's got one now because that means you can work from anywhere. You take your laptop home, you open it up, connect back to the network. It's like you're still in the office. It's a virtual private network. Boy, these things are risky. These are risky. You're at Starbucks. You're using Starbucks Wi-Fi, connecting back into your another point of failure. Okay. You're also, instead of having 50 people in one building, as an MSP, we have 50 people in 50 buildings through COVID. 50 different internet connections, internet speeds, 50 different threats. How many people have firewalls at your home? Not too many, right? So secure virtual private networks are absolutely mandatory. If you're connecting back in from anywhere outside of your building, you better have that baby locked down. If you are not confident that your VPNs are locked down now, we need to have a conversation because you're at risk. Okay. Security awareness training. Has anybody here actually been a part of any security awareness training or know what that security awareness training is? Security awareness training, in essence, is training your people to spot attacks. Some of the most sophisticated attacks look exactly like you would expect from Google, Netflix, Facebook, your bank. All of a sudden, I use F&M Bank. It's not a world-renowned bank. It's really very localized here. They can see that. They get into my account and they'll create an F&M Bank looking email that'll look like it's called what's spoofing, that when you look at it, it looks like it comes from F&M Bank, but it's not. And if I click on it, put any credentials in there, I've given it to someone that's not F&M. So they're always, we will never ask you for any information in email or over the phone, right? They look good. They look real. So what security awareness training does is it sends out a bunch of fake ones. And it busts you if you click on them.
Right.
It gamifies, I guess you could say. It has training videos, it has PDFs you can read, it has information, it'll send you fake attacks and see how people respond to it. And so that we can get a chart and we can show how is my people responding to the threats. When we first implemented this in our office, everybody clicked on it. Everyone. They did it on purpose because they were curious to see what was going to happen because they're a bunch of engineers. Like, what's going to happen? I'm not putting in my credentials, but we were curious. So everyone failed at the beginning part. But a lot of times it's put in process and you don't even know. You may not even know. My wife is starting on first grade.
I'm sorry.
You almost showed all the answers.
I was trying to get the little bar at the bottom to go down. Just go back and close your eyes.
There's your security threat right there.
It's me.
See what I'm talking about? People clicking on things. I don't even know where I was at. Security awareness training. Okay, so it gamifies it for you. You can see how bad you're doing, what you're clicking on, and shouldn't be clicking on, and help train your workforce to spot these attacks. So now I'm forwarding things to help desk that are real all the time. I don't know, is this legit? Help desk. Yes, it's legit. I sent that to you.
I said that too.
We got a new 401k plan. Is this legit? Nobody told me anything. So security awareness training, security, user security, policy security is very similar to your folders. Like you can do with your folders, you can do with your users. You can set up your users to have what's called Active Directory and to have group policies or user policies that dictates where and what they can see, where they can go, what access they have. It allows us to track where they are and what they're doing as well. It's not the part that I don't want you to think that there's another piece of software that we're getting asked to install pretty regularly now for the workforce that allows CEOs or HR people to actually see what people are doing when you're at home and watch your screen. But it actually gives you snapshots. It doesn't actually let you watch it on time. It'll give you snapshots of where they're at. So this one CEO was like, I'm mesmerized by it. I've got so many Facebook snapshots. It's like, I'm not doing my work because I'm so fascinated by what my people are doing, which isn't work. And it'll log keystrokes and things like that too. But that's not what I'm talking about here. User policy secure. Not only do all your folders and your data need to have security policies, but your people as well. So having security policies for your people based on their level of engagement. And then this one that's covered right there, but it says website filtering. And what that is is pretty standard. Once again, the ones on the bottom are fairly standard. This is your typical web filtering where if you, I don't know, I'm sure for you because I know we manage the chamber. If you were to try to go to, hustler.com, it would block it and say, this is not an approved website. And we can do it for guns and alcohol, drugs, sites out of China or Russia. So that protects you from going to sites that can be potentially harmful or are on the list of knowingly harmful. Okay, so website security is a big deal. This is how we protect our people from going to places they shouldn't go and clicking on things they shouldn't click. Okay? And thank you for being the example. Okay. But workforce security, the third pillar, very important, very expensive to turn over your people, very expensive to hire new people, very expensive to pay a ransom for your data. Sad face.
Sad face.
Right.
Happy face.
Time for a happy face question. If you haven't already seen the answers, here's the question. Security question. Who penned this quote? The only real security that a man will have in this world is a reserve of knowledge, experience, and ability. Reserve of knowledge, experience, and ability. Who do you think said that? Henry Ford, Thomas Jefferson, Albert Einstein, Professor X. Now you may think that Professor X is
Don't blurt it
but I
out.
could do that one, but we quote superheroes all the time. With the phrase "with great power comes great responsibility,"
Right.
Spider-Man quote.
Right.
Just so you know.
Yep.
Because I hear it being used all over the place now. Spider-Man's it. Okay. You have no idea unless you know. Okay. So to wrap it up, I've got the three pillars of security: data, your equipment, your workforce. I've explained the difference between the three of those and several ways that you can remediate that. I want you to think about that. It's more than just protecting your data, more than just having backup in your network. You've got to have more than that. And what can you do about it? So some of the next steps, and I'll take some questions right after this. Next steps is to review your security, obviously. If you're not confident, that's why I call it confidence and security. If you're not confident that your stuff is locked down, take a look at it. I can help you. Take advantage of our offers. So we're doing a security assessment, which is we go into your network, we find vulnerabilities in your network. It's typically a $2,500 fee to get in there and use the software and it develops a fat report, and then we go through it and organize it and look at it and give you some consultation with some remediations. We're offering that for like $299 right now. If you need a full security assessment, we can do that for you. But I would say take advantage of a cyber insurance review. If you have your cyber insurance, or if you're looking at cyber insurance, they're gonna have requirements that you may not understand. I've gone back and forth with a couple of clients. They're like, what is that? What does that mean? And there's a cost to it. What is two-factor? What is security awareness training? What is EDR? What do I have to have in order to get bound by this policy? We have experts. We can look over your policy. We can compare it to other policies. We can tell you what's missing. We can tell you what it means in there and so that how to satisfy that. Okay. So cyber insurance review is a very good way. And then all of our clients get our security package. So if you are in need of IT or think you might have IT, just know that Mid-Valley IT does provide a security package already with all of their clients. So I want to open it up to questions now. I just sort of wrapped up. I gave you a lot of information before I get into the answers to the quiz. Are there any questions out there, virtually or in person?
We'll continue to monitor
I'll check
the chat there, yeah.
I'm afraid there's gonna be answers.
I am just so thorough, clear.
Bree's laughing at me.
Couple of things, isn't it?
Oh,
So-
now it disappears.
One thought that I do have, David, I don't know if you have any of this broken down,
Sure.
perhaps by industry, like, for example, are there specific industries that you're finding are more likely or more prone than others, right? Like, for example, I would expect, but I'm not in the industry, I don't know. I would expect that, for example, healthcare and like health insurance providers, those kinds of things, that would likely be a bigger threat area. Because of the personal information, the medical information, all that kind of stuff that's out there, as compared to, let's say, for example, the agriculture industry, right? But I don't know the number.
Sure, I have a lot of statistics. I could put you to sleep with a lot of statistics. But to answer your question, you're absolutely right. There are some of the statistics that I showed, the IBM has a really great report out. If anybody wants, I can send it to them. For 2022, and it lists a lot of this stuff. The number one industry that is attacked is healthcare. Healthcare. The healthcare industry is the primary attack surface, but it's not far behind financial. Right. Okay, and then behind that, I believe was professional businesses. Okay, so but the manufacturing, the supply chain stuff, they're all high. They're all very high. It trickles down, I think, a little bit less in ag or some of the environments that don't use as much technology as others, although ag is growing.
Right.
But
Yeah.
growing rapidly with their use of technology.
Sure.
Their manpower is so expensive. We have a client right now that that is considering a cow milking automation. Okay. Some people have it out here already, been using it for years. They can, I think he said something like, I'm just throwing it out there, so if there's any dairy people that actually know these statistics, forgive me, but like one person can manage like 300 cows or something. This is how they want 300 cows per person or something, maybe up to 500. It's like 1,000 cows per person. In essence, is what it equates to. And through the milking and the automation of that, and they have some of these things now that do manually, but it detects what's in the cow, how healthy the cow is, what nutrients the cow needs, drastically reduces how much you need to buy, what cow's going to. It'll automatically put a cow into a pen that needs service, that needs some additional vitamins or is potentially sick. And it'll do that automatically. They can herd in cows and it'll automatically move the milk. So it has lasers in it, and it actually will map. It'll map the teats, I guess, the udder, so it'll recognize the cow over time. Anyway, wow. So there's a lot of automation out there in agriculture as well. So, but the larger businesses that are under attack are healthcare, financial, and professional businesses.
Wow.
Any other questions?
The other question I had is similar to that,
Sure.
but maybe just to split here is we would expect that there's increases in attacks,
Yes.
right? Are we seeing a sharper rate of increase in private industry as compared to public entities, municipalities, that kind of thing? Cities, local government, any change there?
Yes, there's approximately a 21% increase in the amount of attacks on small, medium-sized businesses.
Okay.
And those attacks equate to, I want to say, I think it was the increase, I believe, was just under $5 million in increased costs of attacks, 21%. So it has gone up quite a bit. It's about $5 million a year right now for just a certain level of cyber attacks that happen on small businesses.
Wow.
So it's quite a bit. I was trying to find some statistics specifically to the Central Valley or California, but those are really hard to find. So I'm going to keep digging. So as I do more of these presentations, I'll be doing these presentations in Stockton and other cities as well, and a few other organizations. So I'll be modifying it as I gather more information as well. So if there's anyone out there that wants to have someone else see this presentation, I'll have other times available to do that, as well as I can always do a private presentation for you. So any other questions? Yes.
Yes, I have one question. I just was wondering, in-house servers versus cloud servers.
Sure.
What would you recommend in regards to safety for a company to have their in-house private servers or just to go ahead and transfer all the way out to the cloud?
So that's a very interesting question, and that is in a state of current evolution. Okay, so really the thought was for IT companies especially is the cloud is good for some things, but you lose a lot of control. So if you have a problem with the server and it's on-prem, I can physically walk on site and fix it. I can do it in my time. I can get there and I can figure out what's wrong. If it's in the cloud, it's someone else's server. We got to wait for them to fix it. If you've ever worked with AT&T, you'd want an on-prem server. You know, but even with Google or AWS, okay, any of these places, you have to wait on them. So there's a problem. And is the cost there, right? Is the cost. So typically what we found is that over a 5-year period, so the life of the server, it's still cheaper if you have less than 40 employees to have an on-prem server and pay that every 5 years than to pay monthly for Microsoft. However, with all these additional security things, there's a lot of additional security features you get now through Microsoft especially. So one of the big things that we're doing, and what Microsoft is doing, is they're going from O365 to M365. And M365 is going to put all your servers and things like that on the cloud as well. And the migration is available, and you pay monthly. They're jacking up the rates for all the on-prem stuff, so now the cost difference isn't quite extreme. You get some additional security features that you would normally either have to pay for or do without. You do have to wait on Microsoft to fix their stuff, which is always great, but the downtime isn't as bad as it used to be. So we're in an evolution, right? As far as the cloud is becoming better and our internet speeds are better, then that can make a big difference too. So if you're in a very rural area where you have very low internet speeds, which is not uncommon for the Central Valley, cloud may not work for you. Because it's totally based on that, right? So we have to assess your specific situation. It is improving though, and it is going to be the mainstay here, probably within the next 10 years. Likely that most servers and such will be cloud-based because the internet is getting so much better. And the security piece is there. But it still really depends. It's something that we would have to look at your specific environment to determine.
Cecil, I think you had a question?
No.
Oh, okay.
Cecil knows all this.
I know.
Awesome. That's great.
So one of the things I put in here, and I stole it from Zales, is now you have a friend in the business. You know me, you got my information. If your information wasn't typed in there, some of you know me already, but I'm happy to give you any information or answer any questions you may have. I'll come to you later as well.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Awesome.
Fun time. You ready?
Yes.
Ready for the answers to your questions?
How do we want to handle these? From
Okay, so those of you who are online, I want you to just type into us how many you got right. And that many tickets Bill will put into the jar for you. Question.
Before we say the answers, I did scribble my last one and put a new one, so I don't want you.
I'm not going to look at what you wrote. I'm just going to draw and read it down. So don't put both tickets in here.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, so here are the answers. Oh,
Wait, I guess I have to see the screen.
yeah.
Okay,
Let me switch it real quick,
okay.
and then I'll.
Do you want me to do it?
Try it. Look it.
Okay, never
Well, we already know Sabrina can. So.
Okay, here are the answers to your questions.
Dang it.
What was the preferred method of transportation for Paul Blart? Obviously the Segway. Very bad emphasis on the Segway.
Look out.
Very good. Okay, so if you answered C for Segway, you got that one right. Question number 2 was Abraham Lincoln. April 14th, 1865, created the Secret Service.
But why?
Treasury Department, what? So that he created the Secret Service for the Treasury Department. Does anyone else have an answer for the bonus question, why the Secret Service was created? No, that's correct. It was for counterfeiting. And pretty much the primary job of the Secret Service still, from what I understand, is counterfeiting.
Civil War.
So it was there for counterfeiting, and then with
I was
increased
there.
attacks on the president, they were there.
I wasn't going to volunteer that.
So Abraham Lincoln created the Secret Service in April 14th, 1865. So if you got that question right, got 2 tickets for you, got both. And then who penned the quote, The security quote is Henry Ford, our good buddy there. Who said that you can have any color of model he wants as long as it's black.
Right,
As long as it's black.
there you go.
I don't know what I'm.
You have any
Good
of
call.
those at the?
Yeah, you too. Yeah.
That's
Okay.
right.
Okay, so honor system, however many you got right, toss in here.
And we gotta check our chat right quick.
Check your chat to see how many tickets you need to put in.
For our online friends, just let us know how many you got right and we'll put your
Yes.
tickets in.
Go put your name on your set of tickets
I'm
here.
writing down right now, so let's see
How
here.
many you get right?
Got that too.
Okay.
Looks like,
Which one did you miss?
somebody said LinkedIn, who was that?
Oh, I missed question 3.
What did you?
Jefferson was not correct.
For C, for
I
3,
thought
I
it was
got
Jefferson
C.
too,
I
Don.
was guessing because I was like, I don't know.
Put Jefferson down. Change it.
There you go. It sounded like a very Jeffersonian.
Wasn't
Yeah.
Professor X.
There you go. Right. Nice.
Yeah.
Let's see.
These are all old.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Anyone online want to participate? You're gonna make winning real easy for us.
Beckman said Jefferson.
Yeah, yeah.
I ought to know better.
Well,
You
now
were
they
there.
have.
You want to know
Wow.
better.
Okay.
Yeah, they can
I'm not
see
seeing any
answers.
more online there.
Yeah, so put in, how many winning tickets you got in there for online?
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing them.
Okay.
There we go. I can see everyone. And by everyone, I mean our screens.
Okay,
So you don't know,
I think that was it.
Yeah, we didn't get
Yeah.
really any online answers.
nobody online. is
We had a couple of incorrect answers. Ron.
Yeah,
So.
we had 2 incorrect answers.
All right, then I'm gonna pick a winning ticket.
All right,
The number, you ready?
who gets the,
177-2405.
Oh, that's me.
I $20 Starbucks card.
Did you
Total honor system.
so Starbucks run on Monica, right?
Well fought,
There you
Monica,
go.
well
Well,
fought.
thank you for playing. I appreciate you. If anybody would like to have a follow-up conversation with me, please do. You have my information or you can get it. No problem. And I thank you for your time.
Awesome.
Fantastic. David, thank you so much.
David.
Appreciate that. Absolutely. And
Back to power.
real quickly here, just to maybe kind of wrap up our time, I did want to also acknowledge a couple of folks we had log in to the meeting. Todd Aronson, thanks for joining us today, and Brianna Gonzalez as well. I see your account logged on. So thanks for jumping into the meeting today. And did also want to let you know that we have our next monthly installments here. Just taking a look at calendar. First week of September, Monday the 5th is Labor Day, and so that following Wednesday the 7th will be our next Economic Development Committee meeting, September 7th. So mark your calendars there, and we'll send out a meeting invite about that. We have a couple of presenters in the agriculture industry space, and wanted to get them specifically in at the beginning of fall here and find out how that is going in our geographic space here. And so we'll likely have some good conversation predominantly in and around the nut industry here. It's near and dear to our heart in Modesto. Lot of nuts around here. So, but we will have a great kind of a panel presentation then with some good economic engagements for that as well. So I do want to again thank you for today. Question from Cecil, go ahead.
So I think it's part of economic growth, could be government relations, could be both.
Okay.
Is the chamber going to take a position on the sales tax issue?
I know that it's been a conversation among the board, and that would be a really great conversation for Trish. And I would maybe just ask that you follow up
Yeah,
there
I
with
think
that. So
I think it's as much economic development as government relations, only
there's,
because
yeah,
what the city plans to do or not to do,
sure. There's impact there.
and attracting businesses and that.
Sure. No, it definitely, there's a foot in both camps there. So I can see what you're saying. Sure. You bet. You bet. No, it's a great question. And we'll look to get some clarification on that. I believe that's one of the things that we're anticipating addressing also in an upcoming iteration of the Progress magazine as well. So
Yes.
addition of that.
Yep.
So, no, great question.
Before we wrap up, I have two
Yep.
announcements as far as networking, just so everyone is
Please do. Thank
aware.
you.
We have our Rise and Shine with the professionals tomorrow morning at 7:45. It's being held at Grand Lemoore venue and being catered by, oh man, the name's the slip of my mind. Institute of Technology.
There you go.
So I don't know if
Okay.
you've ever had any of their stuff, but it's to die for. So that'll be
Yep.
tomorrow.
Very good.
No, they
Their
come out to
culinary program.
gala. They'll do stuff for us.
Yep, nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Trying to catch me up here. I see you. Yes.
And I have one other thing. We recently met, we're meeting exam with the US Post Office.
Okay.
I don't know if that was shared with you. By the way, they want to join the chamber.
Oh, yes, I did get that note.
Good.
Yes.
So, they have a new postmaster that's here. And they're gonna roll out, a new home stamp. Actually, it has all the lots of cars in it.
Nice.
And we're gonna hold an open house for them, with them. And they wanna come and address, I believe, again, economic development, could be government relations, but it could be anyone.
Okay.
But how's the post office involved in economic development, what they do? And I don't know if you know this, I didn't know this. They can actually make a special stamp, let's say for the chamber, okay? And to commemorate like the 100th anniversary, it's 110, you know.
Right.
But they can do those things that I never knew that they. And when about 7-8 years ago, I had a man here, John the Lines and I, and it was more John than I. And they helped us with a few things and that, I thought they joined, but they never did join the chamber. But they really want to work more closely with the business community and that, so.
Good to know.
Wonderful. Good tip.
Good.
Thank you.
All right.
And
One
then,
other announcement as well?
yes, my last announcement, if you guys are interested in Rise and Shine, registration is on the website. And then my last one was next week on Thursday, August the 11th, we're having a member mix and mingle. It's a morning coffee hour at Central Valley Pace. And that's on Orangeburg. Again, if you want info, it's on the website. That's all I got.
Fantastic. Thank you for that, Sabrina. And again, thank you all for joining in, logging in virtually through Zoom, and those of you who are here physically in the room as well. Great to have
Do you have
the
another?
participation and questions, and we'll look forward to seeing you next month. Have a fantastic rest of your August. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Until next time. Bye.